Top 10 strongest Gen 9 Pokemon. Number 10, Cloth. Wait, that can't be right. Except it is, because I'm doing the same thing as last generation. We gotta break down Paldea into two different tiers of power, because there's a lot of good, usable Pokemon that are outclassed by the most insane, deranged power creep Game Freak has ever cooked up inside of Pokemon. And it's also not like Generation 8, where there's good and strong. There's actually strong and then absolutely shattered. So that's how we're going to be breaking it down. However, I think like Cloth is underrated. I think this Pokemon is good, and I've been cooking up something crazy I cannot wait to unleash in Pokemon Champions. But even then, like, the design of this Pokemon seems like Game Freak tried to go crazy with it. They pulled it back just a little bit, but then Pokemon like Golden Go exists. There's really no reason for Game Freak to ever hold back some kind of gimmick or crazy design Pokemon, because they're just going to do it anyways on a different one. And Angry Shell's good. It's like a mini Shell Smash, which has gotten a lot of Pokemon onto top 10 strongest Pokemon lists. I think people just need to figure out how to use it to unlock its power. There's also no point, because we've just gone through like 100 crazy powerful Pokemon in the other lists, and we haven't even gotten to the best of Paldea. So maybe there is no point. But I think it's an alright Pokemon, even though it's one of the most disgustingly designed ever. Number 9, we got Screamtail. It's good. 115 hit points, 99 defense, 115 special defense is a crazy tank. So this thing has to have like 30 speed and is never allowed to be fast, right? No, it's a 111 speed. It doesn't even invest, and it's faster than every tank and every bruiser. And then it can like do a little bit of EVs for speed tier or do some weird stuff. And it has the mini beast boost because you can go photosynthesis. So you now have an immediate unmovable object that can disrupt your opponent however it wants, or even set up, and it's going to be faster. So it's kind of like having a pseudo prankster when a Pokemon is this bulky and that fast, that the bulk up is happening before most other Pokemon get to attack. So it's just a free 50% defense or special defense, bulk up and Calm Mind. It can set up however it wants. It also has like utility that it can use to heavily disrupt an opponent. It can go dual screens and be one of the best screen setting Pokemon. Also, the cowards over at Game Freak. They make Golden Go, but they don't give the succubus Pokemon Draining Kiss. It's the vampire Jigglypuff, and it gets Drain Punch instead of Stab, Draining Kiss. But that kind of shows how close this Pokemon is to actually being one of the most unacceptable Pokemon ever, even when Dondozo exists. Because if it did get Draining Kiss, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Screamtail then becomes the best Pokemon ever. But even without it, it's still good. However, the power creep just kind of makes it hard to find its footing, and there's a lot of other setup tanks where, I'd rather just go Garganasalt, Iron Defense, Fissure, Body Press, good luck, have fun. Number 8, Espathra. This Pokemon is one of the ultimate anti-lead, anti-setup Pokemon on paper. I don't know why it doesn't seem to exist or get acknowledged or get used when it has some really crazy stuff, like 105 speed. That's actually really good for an anti-lead, especially against tanks or other slower setup Pokemon. Like, if it isn't an immediate sweeper, Espathra should just win, especially when the entire game revolves around schizophrenic anti-setup where everyone's got multiple taunt and encore now, and it's been that way the entirety of Generation 9 and most of Generation 8. It has been ridiculously paranoid for so long, but also justified because you don't want Toxapex to land and immediately win the game on one stockpile. And yet Espathra doesn't exploit that, even though it has Opportunist Lumina Crash. 100% chance to lower the target special defense by 2. So it just Lumina Crashes, and then it does a double damage Lumina Crash, and it should just win the game. It's a Calm Mind stored power Pokemon. You put a Key Berry for the defense, you get those Calm Minds, and you also have Opportunist to just steal whatever the opponent might be trying to do. So you always win the race. Even if they Swords Dance, that makes your stored power more powerful. It also has Speed Boost, so if you don't want to gamble on the Opportunist, you just run Speed Boost with this. You're now faster than everything, you have the fastest, most untouchable stored power, while being too tanky to deal with, and you have Roost, and no one's using it? Not even in the top 100 for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet non-legendary format? I don't get it. Everyone's running Speed Boost too, so like, okay, how's that Speed Boost setup not more ubiquitous? Why is there not more Baton Pass at the very least? Because speed boosting Baton Pass is insane, or Opportunist Baton Pass. It's one of those, I think it's like maybe ahead of its time, because there's moments where, yeah, if you actually have Taunt on your Pokemon or Encore, it makes you substantially weaker. If they bring offense or balance, or they don't have a setup stall tank, you now are just playing without a move, and that is very game deciding in a lot of situations. It's too much of a risk, except somehow for over a generation and a half where people are just that scared of setup. But if people are that scared, then why isn't Opportunist also in that paranoia of just like, okay, bring Opportunist, switch it in, and then Baton Pass or something? It gets agility, so it can switch in on a setup turn, get the Opportunist, and then have like a Key or a Moringa Berry for extra stats if it needs to, use the agility, have the outspeed, and then all the pressure to just Baton Pass however it wants. Or if it's against a tank Pokemon, cool, you get the Opportunist on the Iron Defense, you set up a sub, and then you win the game. How is that not happening where in 3v3 Battle Stadium singles, it's not uncommon that there's one Taunt Pokemon, one Encore Pokemon, and one Trick Scarf as the only 3 Pokemon they bring? I'm just losing my mind over this. Maybe I'm just completely wrong and off base, and this is actually one of the worst, most unusable Pokemon, or Pokemon is just that underdeveloped. Smogon has stunted the growth of competitive Pokemon by over a decade, so we just have like terrible babies that are too scared to actually be challenged by anything in life. And because of that, they ban things like Baton Pass, so there's no exploration with the Espathra. They've also banned so much and have such a warped casual way of playing the game that you don't see the anti-setup meta as much. And then no one thinks to like transfer that into real Pokemon because they're too bad at Pokemon to play real Pokemon. They go to the Battle Stadium, get bullied out of it, and then just say, yeah, I'm going to play my baby format some more. Go back to Pokemon Showdown. And then a lot of real competitive Pokemon players playing by official rules, they also prefer comfort. Why gamble in Espathra when you just run Dragonite, and it's going to be nice and cozy? Maybe you put a Breloom on your team, you got Dondozo for the unaware, and you hack in a Golden Ghost, so it's just a free win. No reason to mess around with any kind of skillful or slightly gambly play. I don't know, I don't get it. Number 7 is Orthworm, because this is actually the best defense tank in the entire game. It's a Steel-type Pokemon that is not only immune to ground, but it heals off of ground. So it's just better, Skarmory. Really, its biggest problem is that it doesn't have Recover, so you do have to go Chesto Resto or play it like an Iron Defense Crocoon, and that gets kind of weird. Very exploitable on that special defense, but outside of that, like if the opponent only has physical Pokemon, Orthworm just wins, and it's actually a scary Pokemon. It also has Coil, so it's like the Calm Mind of physical, and then it can get more accuracy, so it can use Iron Tail, which is a rare pick, over the Iron Head, and then just have crazy amounts of damage, and crazy amounts of durability, and sustain, and survivability, and it just wins. It's a terrifying Pokemon, and also the power of a Steel-type Pokemon that can just switch in and heal from an Earthquake is ludicrous. It cannot be explained in word. And it's something like a choiced Earthquake, you win the game. This could maybe just be the ultimate answer to Galarian Darmanitan if that Pokemon gets out of control because there's no Dynamax in Pokemon Champions. It's really good. And that's kind of like the scary thing. If you think about this list so far, oh, this is actually just a normal region of strong Pokemon. All of these Pokemon are kind of scary and really powerful and would create a healthy environment when these are the rejects of Paldea. Number 6, we have Sinistcha, which is creep on top of creep on top of creep, which doesn't make sense at all. Because, okay, Scald is a very problematic move. So problematic, Game Freak just deleted it from the game until some DLC happened, and then they like reset the Pokemon that are allowed to get it, because it's just too strong when you have a free special attack that has a 1 in 3 chance of eliminating a physical Pokemon from the game. So let's do that with Giga Drain. What? So sure, it's a 20% chance of burn instead of 30%, but they gave that to a tank Pokemon. Well, at least it's grass, and grass sucks, but they gave heat proof. So it's like a Mega Venusaur that has Scald and Strength Sap. What? And does incredible special attack damage. Because this Pokemon also needed to get Calm Mind, and it shows why the anti-setup meta has been so crazy. Because if you do not bring Taunt, this Pokemon just beat you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's true for like 24 Pokemon at this point. So Game Freak went, man, we've made too many crazy tanks. Let's just add unbelievable power creep into the game and give everything Encore just to be safe. It's been out of control weird. And it's also at the point where Sinistcha in a less schizo meta is probably number 1 on this list easily, or just transcends into the next list because, again, this Pokemon will just win if there's no stall or tank hate on the opposing team. So it's crazy, it's ridiculous, also really fun to use. Which brings us to number 5, we have Glimmora, and this was one of my darling Pokemon early on in Generation 9, but then we got power creep through DLC and just some ridiculous stuff, but it's a really cool Pokemon. 86 speed, finds a little bit of creep. You invest some speed into it, it just outspeeds like every bulky and tank Pokemon, and then slams with a 130 special attack on pretty solid stab. You don't think, oh, Rock Poison is good offensively, horrible defensively because 4 times weakness to Earthquake is unacceptable, but outside of that, actually it hits a lot of things really well. It has crazy coverage, and it turns out 130 special attack specs that can endure a hit from a sweeping Pokemon or just outspeed every tank and bruisery Pokemon is really good and really scary. It also gets Earth Power, and then Terra Ground, Stab, Earth Power specs, 130 modest special attack. Just one-shot so many things. You find sweeps. You one-shot everything that's just a natural, balanced Pokemon. If you're in the neutral and you have a super effective hit before you lock in the specs, you also just win against almost everything with a super effective hit. It's a really neat Pokemon. I wish Game Freak drew the line mostly here. You can make a little bit more power than this, but you can't go off the rails and make something twice as strong in DLC or just whatever else is coming up in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Nope. Dude, I can't, like, I love it. I honestly love it when I get bodied by a strategy and then that defines an entire generation. Because that's what's happening here. I got bodied by a Glimmora, and I went, wait, this thing just has too much damage. So now, you speed creep everything. Come on, what are your EVs, Golden Go? Oh, I'll never know, but it has to be max hit points. So, I got bodied by it, and I was like, yo, this thing has too much damage. There's too much bulk. Like, you just speed creep, you put the 28 EVs into Glimmora, watch my guide, and then you just specs. And like I said in my guide, you cover for Glimmora's weaknesses with an Amoonguss. And even though it's not that straightforward, you can't lose. Number 4, we got Chi-Yu, which is another Pokemon that's just like the definition of sharp design. We got 100 speed. So actually really good Scarf tier. Not a lot of Pokemon start considering Scarf over that or try to find any ways of boosting its speed. So it's just going to outspeed everything. 135 special attack. Alright, maybe you want a specs, but you don't need it, because it has an ability that lowers special defense of all Pokemon except itself. And it has 120 special defense, so it just beats most special attackers. So we have to look at the 55 hit points, 80 defense. Okay, it's not surviving a physical hit, which means you need a bulky Pokemon that resists the overheat, because that's kind of like its only gimmick. The Dark Pulse into a max health Pokemon isn't going to be enough. So like a physical Pokemon just breaks this. But it's also, once those Pokemon are dealt with by the rest of your team, Chi-Yu just kind of gets to walk over everything else, or it can just be hit and run. You know, you throw out an overheat, you do ridiculous damage, or you just straight up get the KO, and then you switch out. It'll come back later and then win on cleanup. It can also do some extra weird stuff, like Nasty Plot into tanks. And I haven't seen it, but maybe there's some experimentation with Salak Berry, because like if you can get Nasty Plot and then a sub or Salak Berry or something, that's extra big game over. So this Pokemon can get out of control, but at least it has like frailty and it is manageable. And at least Blissey exists, so whatever special attack shenanigans that can exist in this game are kept in check by that existence. And Assault Vest also hard counters this Pokemon. Next up, we got Ting-Lu. And it says something about the other Pokemon that are going to be on the next video when Ting-Lu, a 155 hit point, 125 defense, still 80 special defense. Like, 80 special defense with 70 hit points if you're going full tank investment is good, let alone 155 hit points. So give this thing an Assault Vest, make some kind of crazy spread, and then 110 attack is just dangerous, especially with Dark Ground coverage. That's amazing offensively, and the opponent loses special attack, so you also don't care about the 80 special defense because you're getting a free Assault Vest anyways. Now, it's not as powerful statistically as an Assault Vest, but still, like, a free baby Assault Vest is ridiculous, where you just take 25% less special damage. Also, it gets Fissure, so it can break every tank Pokemon that doesn't have Levitate or Flying, and it's one of the big reasons why Terra Flying on tank Pokemon is just meta. That's like the anti-stall ugliness that has developed throughout Generation 9, because yeah, it turns out a Pokemon that just can Fissure and remove whatever you're trying to do, pretty good. And the thing that terrible Smogon players don't understand is that it's completely balanced. That's why stall becomes so problematic in Smogon OU, is because there's no way to break it. That even if Fissure misses 4 times, well, a super stally tank Pokemon, they're going to give you that many turns, especially on something as ridiculous as a Ting-Lu. And then you also just have answers. You still have the 1 in 3 chance where, okay, this Pokemon 2-hit KOs me, I only get 1 chance because I'm 45 speed, throughout the Fissure. Outside of that, it still has great coverage, and it can do all kinds of weird things. It's just ridiculous. Now, for the second strongest, not completely busted Paldea Pokemon, we have Crocalor and Skeledirge. Now, they do different things, but it's mostly just Unaware is ridiculous. So you give a tank Pokemon Unaware, and you're able to do whatever you want, especially because Crocalor can go Eviolite. So it sets up like a Clefable, and Clefable's #1 in Kanto. But then Skeledirge is next level anti-setup, because it has Torch Song, which raises its special attack every time. So you can't race it. You can't go Calm Mind into the Skeledirge because it's unaware. It's not going to care, and it's just going to ramp damage as a tank Pokemon with Slack Off, and it has Encore to buy time. It's hard to stress how powerful this Pokemon is on paper. You just have to go up against it enough times and go, wow, my balanced team could not do anything about this. Or, I didn't realize when they removed my win condition, because now I have no way of breaking the Skeledirge, and it's just too strong, too fast on the Torch Song. It ramps ridiculously hard, and it can create a game state where there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, it's stupid. And then it also is the anti-momentum, where you did all that setup. Nah, Skeledirge makes it neutral, and now it starts gaining special attack, and you can get like 2-shot on Torch Song, maybe. But if it's a 3-shot, okay, it just slacks off and doesn't care, and then it's going to take you out, and then the next Pokemon that comes in is just going to get 1-shot by a +3 Torch Song. GG, this Pokemon's stupid. Honorable mention, we have Hydrapple, because it's a cool special attacking sweeper, and it plays like a Glimmora. It wants to take a hit, and it wants to 1-shot back, and the Fickle Beam, when that procs, is one of the coolest things ever. But it also just has like a lot of vulnerability and gets overwhelmed a little too easily. But it's actually a neat Pokemon. Not much else though. And then we get to the #1 Pokemon on this list with Clodsire. I hinted it in the #2 slot because it's another unaware Pokemon and it has ridiculous stats. So it's actually a better Clefable. It has Recover, which unlike Moonlight, doesn't have anything that can go wrong. If there's sand, Moonlight can actually get really rough, which is why Clefable did struggle a bit in Generation 8, where, Dynamax into a Rock-type move. But Clodsire doesn't have to worry about that. And it gets Stockpile, so it can boost its lower defense and special defense instead of Clefable, which only gets the Calm Mind, but then the Stockpile turns into a Body Press, so you still find damage like the Calm Mind, and you can use Toxic. The only Pokemon keeping Clodsire from being the best Pokemon in the entire game is Goldengo. That's it. And it also makes it mandatory that you have to have 2 Taunt, Encore, or Trick Scarfs, or Trick Specs, or whatever on your team to make sure this thing can't set up. If you don't bring that, it beats you. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's also a Curse Amnesia set where you go Curse Amnesia Terra Dark. That way there's no immunities to worry about. It's not as consistent. It means you do have to commit your Terraslization for it, because the moveset makes to where, if you don't Terra, this thing loses. So if you bring it, you have to Terra, so you don't have any other Terra options. However, it does just hard win the game. So it's like a weird trade-off, but it's such a beneficial win-positive trade-off, it's actually worth it. And Terra is in Pokemon Champions, so this actually gets some consideration for the moveset. But if the opponent brings Schizophrenic anti-setup, then you actually just don't have a Terra, you don't have a Pokemon, and you hard lose. But if they don't bring that, then you automatically win the game with Curse Amnesia, Terra Dark, Recover. And another thing that makes this Pokemon super duper broken is that it has a lot of adaptability into the meta. That you can bring whatever item and moveset is most beneficial into what's being played, and it just works. It's plug and play, and then you just get to destroy whatever common strategy is around, except for Goldengo. Watch me be the undisputed best competitive Pokemon player ever with this video. I'm also wondering if I just eat the trick. I'm actually thinking about just eating the trick. And then we have Clodsire ready to win. Oh, Volt Switch, okay. That's a lot of damage Klefki doesn't want to take. See, and that's the problem with Rotom. Like, it's all trick, and I'm so scared of the trick that I have to always play for the trick. There's no gambling the trick. Now that trick is still a threat, it's gonna be rough. King Gambit. Interesting. Why is that his play? Why is that what he's throwing at me? Ooh, he didn't like that. Ooh. That Rotom did way too much damage. It's Specs. Also, because we're in a tank, anti-tank, tank meta, tank, fissure meta, there's no Scarf Rotoms anymore, so you're just taking more damage from the Specs Rotom every time. Sub-scouting? That's still a dangerous amount of damage. What would be crazy is if Hydro Pump misses twice. Doesn't happen, but still. Yeah, even though it sounds like Jolteon makes sense, no one runs Jolteon because it just gets bowled over by a Garganacl or something. Wish Calm Mind Jolteon might counter Salt. And now we have to go Clodsire. And now we have to try to set up. Does he think Water Absorb? So I need that Amnesia, but I also need Curses to have damage. Man, the Specs Rotom ruining my life. Oh my god. My team only works if he tricks. Do I just have to... I guess I play Chansey instead. I guess I just play Chansey to, Cool. That doesn't matter, I think. I guess Chansey instead of Klefki. The Klefki bait worked once, and then that baited me. He's just swinging it. Wow. Good, we tank now. King Gambit, okay. Why? Yeah, someone did say Poison Jab Garganasalt. Okay. Doesn't hurt enough. He fought. See, also this player's smart because he, didn't fall for the trick bait. He also didn't fall for Water Absorb because he knows Unaware's the best. And now, here comes the Rotom to trick me. No. Does it not have trick? Oh my god, it's gonna be a free win! Finally! We finally get to debut the new Clodsire strats. I'm so happy. Thanks to its safety goggles. I love that it says thanks to safety goggles so much. Oh, that's just like a cute thing you never see. I think we have to be recovered for that Rotom trick. Because if I throw an Amnesia... Oh, he Mach Punch. Alright, he's out. He's out of options. Like, I'm not worried about his damage. I'm worried about Rotom, dude. I love this. I love this jet. That's some real cheese. That's why this Quagsire exists. The Clodsire is only to anti the Breloom, dude. And non-Clear Smog Amoonguss, but those don't exist. Woo! There's our crit. Now, is this one of those games? Is this one of those games where, like, I actually win in spite? I win out of spite of the crit. Let's go! And that's why I said this is the best Clodsire moveset, dude. That's why we do it. I guess now I just have to always stay at full. I don't like running low on recovers, but now... Like, do we convert here? Ah, we have to Terra Blast then recover. Uh-oh. What's he hiding? Like, is he going for the fighting crit? Do you realize he has nothing else but fighting crit? He's only got grass. What's the plan? Oh, he really wants it. Alright. 4 damage. Maybe 14. I wasn't keeping track. 11. Yeah, that was a 14, 13, 11 or something. I don't know. Now he has no resistance. Focus Sash. Hey. Now the Clodsire's actually trucking too. He's out of ideas. He's like, can I crit again? Nah. See, like, that's how you know. That's how you know I'm the unluckiest battler. But I'm also the greatest Pokemon battler ever, too. The game has to throw the crit, and the crit isn't enough to take me out. Imagine. 14. 14. 12. Alright. He's like trying to soften me up for the Rotom. I snuck in that Amnesia. Watch vid on hacking, that's insane. Thanks again for opening my eyes. No, thank you, Don, for actually listening to me. Because like I said, this community does everything. Like, I get dislike botted. I get slandered nonstop. I get defamed. There's tens, not tens of millions, but like over 10 million views of just hate views against me to shut down my truth. And it's worse than that, dude. Look up Pokemon Tournament Official allows hacking. They're just 1s and 0s. That's my best video. My #1 video is Pokemon Tournament Official allows hacking. And there's no trick. He has Discharge instead and maybe a Tech Shadow Ball. He's going for flinch hacks. He's going for paralysis hacks. I said that weird because, like I said, my brain is rotting. "2020 was the worst for your channel." Nah, 2017 when I started getting 2017 was the worst I ever had on channel. So that was when the dislike botting hit the biggest, and I ate 40,000 dislikes in a day. And that, like, just deranked all my content. And then the next day I ate another 30,000. That deranked my content even more. And then for a year straight, every video I uploaded got immediately deranked. This isn't going to do a lot, but still, like, we're bringing it. We're gonna take this win. This dub. I kind of want to recover to predict the crit. It's like we can't burn our last recover too willy-nilly, but I'm afraid of shenanigans. I want to be at full and then we win. We get the shots. And I don't think there's anything he has to one-shot us. Like, this is just a safety play. I don't see a world where, like, this costs us, but I mean, I'd rather... Oh, Baton Bass Drifblim worked really well. We got a lot of Rage Quits. But we also got crit every time. Like, first turn crit on Drifblim all the time. Yeah, like, I wanted to put that crit buffer in, because, like, we just have it. I'm upset that this... There it is! That's why we put in the crit buffer. The game cannot take me down! You thought, game. You tried. You threw everything at me. And I will succeed in spite of your hatred of me. And then they gave me the crit that didn't matter at the end. They're classic. They're classic I get crit, and then I get the crit that didn't matter.